Ooh, everybody, Raven fans, Oriole fans, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today for the Ravery Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast for fans like me. My name is Charles. I am the owner of Ravery Sports. So thank you for joining us. However, you're joining us, obviously, if you are watching this right now, and more of you have been watching. So we appreciate that. So we're watching this right now. You're watching this right now on YouTube. You're watching this right now on our Twitter page. You're watching this right now on our Facebook page. You're watching this right now on our Twitch channel. So you're watching this. Thank you very much for doing that. If you're watching us, tell everybody you know to watch us. Not everybody you know, but somebody. Go like and subscribe to the video. Share the video. So let the go ahead and know like that. Go ahead, hit the like button. That helps the algorithm if you're watching this on YouTube, especially, or Facebook, so we can go ahead and share what we're doing here at Ravery Sports. I also have Genesis Notary Services. We go ahead and go ahead and Genesis Notary Services at Facebook. You can book an appointment if you live in the Shenandoah Valley. We'll do your legal documents. We work as a wedding officiant. We work also in field inspection. We work as a general notary, mobile notary. So we'll definitely come out and do it as well. Very soon, I would say by the end of the year, we'll be doing loan signings as well. So we'll go ahead and have that as well. Apostille, we'll be adding that probably by the end of this year as well. So apostille, that's international notary in plain English, right? So we'll get that taken care of. Definitely check out our website. So you can go and check out our website, ravorisports.company.site, or you can send a line to me at ravorisports@gmail.com. Absolutely. Let's get down to business, the business of the NFL. We had a game Sunday. Absolutely, we did. So the Ravens played the Texans, and you see the final score there, 25-9. A lot happened in this game. So in this game, this 25-9, so the Ravens were victorious, obviously, which is good. So obviously they won the game. They had a lot of injuries in this game. This was costly. J.K. Dobbins, unfortunately, got hurt, and tore his ACL, looks like, so he's going to be out the rest of the year. Marcus Williams is going to be out the rest of the foreseeable future. Probably, I would say, optimistically, you get him back in the second half. He missed that game indefinitely, maybe 7-8 games if you're lucky. You get Marcus Williams back. You lose Ronnie Stanley. That one, believe it or not, because it's him, not as severe. He's going to be out for, I think, possibly this next game. He may play. I'm doing this before the injury reports come out Wednesday, so he may play. We don't know. We won't know probably until, if you're watching this on Friday, maybe by then. And also Tyler Linderbaum, the young center, first injury he's really had as well, so he's going to miss at least this game here, may play in the next game after that. So a lot of injuries the Ravens had. They're going to have to go ahead and they will go ahead and cover down. They did go ahead and make some signings this week as well to cover a lot of those injuries. What happened in the game? C.J. Stroud played his first NFL game. You see with his day, 28 for 44, 242. The numbers looked, in my opinion, better than he actually played. I think he did about as well as could be expected. Ravens were really hounding him up the middle on the defense, so they really had trouble. They really didn't move the ball in the zone, getting the ball in the end zone. They didn't score a touchdown. Moved the ball a little bit. It wasn't a totally anemic on offense. He had 242. A lot of that was garbage. Nico Collins had a good day, but about as good as you can get against a good defense and a rookie quarterback playing in his first game. I looked at this. I thought he would do more. 11 carries, 38 yards for Damian Pierce, second-year player. Um, he's good. I think the Ravens' interior is really good. I think this was more of a result of that. And they were behind in the game, so they really didn't have much use for the run game. So that I think that was the result. Pierce was pretty good. Nico Collins, I already mentioned him. He was really good in this game. 6 receptions, 80 yards. This was the only really guy get him many chunk plays in the game. Couple times he got some big chunk plays. There wasn't enough to get in the end zone, but I thought Nico Collins was good. The offense, the lack of corners in this game really didn't show up really for the Ravens. Nico Collins was decent. Robert Woods had a couple catches. Dalton Schultz had a couple, but they were able, I thought, to get away with that. Couple sacks. Will Anderson got his first NFL sack in this one. I thought they really were in the face of Lamar Jackson a lot. I think there was another guy with 2 more sacks. I thought Ravens should have been. The offensive line wasn't great in this game. They really were able to blitz and do a lot in this one against the Ravens. It wasn't enough. But I think the defense wasn't terrible at all. I thought both offenses really struggled. Speaking of offense, since you brought it up, 17 to 22, 169, 1 interception. The interception that Lamar had, I think, wasn't that bad. I think he was just kind of doing too much. Great play on the defensive side by Houston on that. So I really wasn't concerned about that. Ball security, 2 just bad fumbles by Lamar. 1, Kevin Zeitler scooped up and kind of bailed him out. The other one was just bad. Just hold on to the ball. I thought this was, as quiet as it's kept, this was about as bad as I've ever seen Lamar look in a game. He really fumbled a lot. He fumbled the 2 times. He had a pick. He really didn't throw the ball well in the red zone. I think, though, I will say, in his defense, it wasn't just him on Sunday. It was a lot of bad offense around the league. It was more. I'll get to that in Big 5, but it because guys aren't playing in preseason at all, pretty much, there was a lot of bad quarterback in that one. So Lamar, not too worried about it, though, because it's only 1 game. JK got hurt. He did get in the end zone. So did Justice Hill. Good in the red zone. That's the guy they used in the red zone. He had 2 TDs, 8 carries, 9 yards. Interesting to see which of these 2 is going to be the number 1 back. Very interesting to see how this goes. Melvin Gordon is still around on the team. Interesting. I think Justice Hill might get most of the carries. Gus, maybe he's fallen out of favor a bit. I kind of had that sense watching the preseason. We'll never know. I think we'll see going forward for sure. But I think there's a shot that Justice could get most of the carries here. Going forward, 2 touchdowns in the red zone. I thought the Ravens' run game was decent enough in this one. I thought Lamar had some carries and things like that. I think they were trying to throw more, but I think the run game is decent enough. I think the run game will be decent even without JK. I don't think it'll be anemic or anything like that. This was the man of the day, Zay Flowers, 9 receptions, 78 yards, his first NFL game. Really looked good. This guy is super fast. He's got that Tyreek Hill in him. Not comparing him yet to Tyreek Hill, but that quick acceleration. Certain guys have good speed. It's another thing to have speed as soon as you move. That acceleration, that real quick gear to really get by guys. Zay Flowers absolutely has it. He scares me only because he's so small. he's not big for an NFL, but he really has great acceleration. I really like Zay Flowers. Beckham, I didn't do the graphic for as well. I thought a lot of it was because Beckham got a lot of attention. Stingley was on him the whole game, kind of covering him. There was a lot of doubling of Beckham which left Flowers wide open. So I think that's a part of the reason why. That's why you have an Odell Beckham on your team. So they're going to have to pick your poison. Have Flowers had a good day. Easily the best offensive player. Wow. 16 tackles for Roquan Smith. He was fantastic in this game. Patrick Queen was outstanding as well. I think they were really dominant. This is the strength now of your team, like the inside. I thought Matabuke, the whole line. I thought Michael Pierce, Broderick Washington, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, really, really good. I thought they were that was basically what I thought won the game defensively for them. They kept them out of the end zone, had a couple sacks. I thought it was great the way they played. I think this is probably the strength of your team here on defense. What they did on Sunday, what Roquan did on Sunday. David Ajabo getting his first sack. We mentioned him last week as the X factor. I thought David Ajabo got a strip sack that was big in the fourth quarter. I thought Texans got the ball back late, and they might have been able to move it and maybe get back in the game. But with the play that he made, that kind of put it in deep freeze, where the Texans weren't able to go ahead and come back. The offense as a whole, I thought didn't play well. I thought Lamar wasn't good. Obviously, you had the J.K. injury. You had no Mark Andrews. Hopefully, you'll have him back this week. I thought you had the two injuries on the line. I do think I'm not so worried yet. Across the league, it was awful. Too many good players were just awful. So I'm not going to worry too much. I think as these guys get in the rhythm, this week you'll see it more, and the following week you'll see it even more, getting the rhythm. A win is a win is a win. So even if it's ugly, we'll take it 25-9 over the Texans. I do believe absolutely what we saw in the schedule, caught a break playing a team, that's still really building and trying to mesh here. So I think that they definitely caught a break here. What's next? The Bengals. So they're going to go ahead and play this Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS. I think that's right. Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati. Bengals used to play in the old Riverfront Stadium. Lots of water down there in that part of the country. Bengals 0-1. Bengals didn't play well last week, lost to the Cleveland Browns. Lamar's got to play better than he did. I'm sure he will. Lamar was not good in this one, except for the passes, I think, to say Flowers. Definitely you could see, though, better receiving core for him already. That was clear. Love to see the full complement. Beckham, I think, is going to be fine. And the whole crew, I think, is going to be fine. I think Lamar's going to be okay. Lamar's just got to hold on to the ball. He didn't play well, and it showed. I think Lamar needs to practice and play. He was pushing. I know Coach John Harbaugh was reported to play in the preseason, and then Harbaugh didn't let him. And that kind of showed. I'm not so worried about Lamar yet. I'm although not great in the first game. Who is the number one back? We're going to have Gus Edwards here for now, you would think. I saw during the regular season, the preseason, Justice Hill was getting a lot of action. The natural choice is more Gus Edwards. He had 8 carries, 32 yards. I think he's a straight line guy. It really depends on what you do. Good blocker, more traditional runner. How much do you want to run the ball? I think you could see Justice Hill. I think you see a lot of Gus Edwards over Carlos. I think Gus Edwards, is a safer bet. You're going to get a lot of yards after the carry, a lot of straight line yards, good in the red zone. I don't know how healthy he is. He kind of seems to be on a pitch count. Nobody's really talking about it. I think hopefully he doesn't get one of these injuries. And, we knew he was. It could be something more. Maybe it is. But it seems like it definitely seems to me like he should be playing more. And for whatever reason, he's not playing. So we'll see about that going forward as well. Odell Beckham Jr. is going ahead and 2 receptions, 37 yards. That's basically what his season has been. That's what he did the first game. Odell, he had the 237. He had those 2 key pass interference calls in the game that really got big chunk yards. So that was big that they got those interceptions. They were paying the Texans rather, a lot of attention to Odell. You're sure you're going to see it all year long. Look, you want to beat the Ravens. That's a good idea, is that you want to stop Odell Beckham. That's absolutely something that you want to do, is going ahead and stopping Odell Beckham from getting the football. That's definitely big going forward. What did the Bengals look like? Joe Burrow, he was lousy too. 14 for 31, 82 yards. Burrow, I think, is really going to have a harder time finding his footing. He's usually not good in the beginning of the year. He really didn't even have a training camp at all. He got hurt early in camp. He was able to obviously make the start of the season, but I don't think he even started practicing until the week before the game. So a longer way to go for Burrow. He'll work it out. I mean, he's too good of a quarterback not to work it out. He's not all season going to go 14 to 31. and for whatever reason, he seems to have trouble with the Bengals and the Ravens. For whatever reason, maybe it's just the whole divisional thing and guys figure it out. But Burrow might be a good time to catch Joe Burrow here at the start of the season. Joe Mixon was consistent, 13 carries, 56 yards. I think that I don't know why people are so down on the Bengals run game. I've always kind of liked it. I think Mixon's pretty good. He always seems to find his way in the doghouse a bit for some reason with people or something like that. I see this a lot with him, the Bengals, and a lot of teams. They kind of forget to run the ball, and so he doesn't really get in the rhythm. But I think the run game is not half bad. I don't think the line's any good. It wasn't any good in the first game for sure. But we'll see how that goes here. I think Mixon's pretty good. You better, if the Ravens have definitely been there. He's got a tall order against this Ravens inside group here, but Joe Mixon is not bad. Jamar Chase, I think, the number 1 receiver, I think, in the entire league. I think Jamar Chase, 5 receptions, 39 yards. Interesting to see after this season, though, with them, if they're able to keep a lot of these guys. Where it is maybe they don't keep T. Higgins after this season. That doesn't surprise me at all, considering what it's going to cost to keep these guys. Jamar Chase is sensational. I think him and Burrow, he's probably the reason Burrow will get on track as well. Definitely look for him to have a big day. Double coverage a lot for Jamar Chase. And this one on defense, I think the defense is kind of overrated. I think it's always kind of been overrated. They got rid of their safety group. They're running Nick Scott to play safety for him. These 2 guys are pretty good. Trey Henderson had a sack. Sam Hubbard had about 8 tackles for them. Bit of a down year for their standards. I think they're both guys very capable of getting 10 sacks. Definitely, too, with the offensive line injuries. These guys are going to be your concern. Definitely. So definitely 2 good edge rushers here that the Cincinnati Bengals have. I've never loved their back end. Logan Wilson's pretty good, but I think they've always had trouble to me on the back end. Can now the Ravens take advantage of that with their new receiver group that they have? We'll see how that is. We're calling it X Factor. Who's the X Factor for the Ravens? On offense. On offense, the X Factor is Justice Hill as well. Justice Hill. How much is Justice Hill going to play? How much is the Gus Edwards going to play? Who's going to take that role as the number 1 back? So we're going to see exactly who is going to go ahead and take the leadership as well. Also had Sam Mustipher up on the screen. Also, he's another one as an X Factor. So here's a guy they didn't even have, okay, weeks ago on the active roster, right? So I was thinking in camp, okay, well, you want to keep a center, backup center, just in case something happens. Linda Bob with the high ankle sprain. Now you got Sam Mustipher there as well. So keep that one in mind as well. Defense, Geno Stone. So he's going to have to step up again. How good is Geno Stone? This is his opportunity now to show the Ravens, show the rest of the league that he is a starting NFL safety. Marcus Williams is going to be gone for a while. A lot of good talk about Geno Stone, but he's going to be in a role now. He's got a chance to really show himself. How good is he going to play against a very, very good receiving group for the Bengals? So you want to keep that in mind, that the Ravens are going against a very good receiving group. Now, last week, also too, talk about the secondary. Rocky Sin hardly played at all. I saw Brandon Stevens pretty much playing outside the whole game. I'm really kind of confused about what to do in the corner. Hopefully, they'll have Marlon Humphrey this week. We'll see how practice goes. I don't expect Marlon Humphrey this week. I think it'll be about another 2-3 games before Marlon Humphrey. But I do believe that the Ravens will have I'll put it this way. I think they'll play better as they go along. They're going to need more continuity at corner because I have no idea really what they're doing. Rocky Sin said he started, then he didn't play at all. They said he started and he didn't play at all. Well, we have to work into the offense. You know, they're always very vague. Brandon Stevens, I played a lot on corner as well. I thought that was very surprising that he pretty much started on the outside the whole game. Darius Washington played in the slot. That was expected. So again, we'll see how that shakes out against an outstanding receiver group. Prediction: 21-20, Bengals over the Ravens. I think the Ravens have a lot of injuries this week, and it's going to be hard for that secondary that they have to really work with that. It's going to be hard for that secondary to go against Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not going to stuck 2 weeks in a row. Not going to happen. As much as we would all like it, Joe Burrow, I think, is going to do better in week 2 as he compared last week. He kind of always starts out slow. He still might not be what we've seen, but I definitely think that the Bengals, it'll be close. It'll definitely be close. But I think the Bengals maybe squeak it out at home here. I do think also, too, this is going to be their toughest game here in this early stretch. So next week we got a game against the Colts after this. So we'll see how this goes going forward. All right. So we got that. So we did the review and preview of the next game. We're also looking forward to that. The Ravens going ahead against the Bengals in Cincinnati. So hopefully Ravens have success taking down the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of you young fans I know hate the Bengals. I have more of that with the Steelers because the Bengals have been a better team in recent years. I understand that. I have more of that with the Steelers. Let's get it popping. Big 5. So these are the 5 biggest games on the NFL schedule that are not Raven games. So we're going to go ahead and go over that as well. Last week, Big 5. San Fran, very dominant against Pittsburgh. San Fran looks very good. That didn't shock me at all. I thought unfortunate, awful. Jets did win against Buffalo, but the horrible news about Aaron Rodgers, that was just plain old tragic. What happened there as well. Sunday night game. I didn't think it'd be that big of a margin. Dallas was really, really good. Giants were really bad. That was bad. I never thought I'd say this, but I feel bad for the New York sports fans. They had two tragic nights, 2 nights in a row. You had the Giants got rolled badly, and then you lose Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was just. As an Oriole fan, I'm not going to tangent too far off of that. But as an Oriole fan, kind of can relate to waiting for a team to be good for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. So I do understand. So you finally get it. You finally get your team near 500. You get an All-Pro quarterback, and he gets hurt in 4 plays. Awful. So yeah, feel bad for those guys, those fans as well. There. All right. Games this week. Thursday night game, the Vikings against the Eagles. Vikings lost their first game going against the Eagles at the Link in Philadelphia, home of the Eagles, home of WrestleMania 40 this year as well. Fuck you, WWE fans like I am. I'm just done with it. I really wish I could say that confidence in them. I don't. Baker Mayfield just beat him up last week. I don't think they'll be that bad every week. But historically, they don't win games like this. It's a shame. They got talent. Kirk Cousins, I think, is decent. I think Justin Jefferson, I think, is a cheat code. He's the best receiver in the NFL. If it's not Jamar Chase, I think he's not that far behind him. I think they have a very good line. Defense is just bad. Gotten bad all of a sudden. I don't think the Eagles were great either last week. I thought they won, but again, too many quarterbacks were lousy last week for it to be an accident. Mahomes was kind of shaky. Lamar was kind of shaky. Josh Allen was kind of shaky. Joe Burrow was kind of shaky. Deshaun Watson was that's too many for that to be a thing. So clearly the lack of practice is showing up. Hurts was one as well. I don't think he's going to be that bad 2 weeks in a row. I like the Eagles in this one as well. I like the Eagles by a good margin. I'm feeling pretty confident the Eagles will win this. They don't win games like this. This is the problem in Minnesota. I think they'll have more urgency, though. I think they will have a sense of urgency. I think they will compete, at least in the first half, because they lost the first game, but a good sense of urgency. Big surprise here. Lions beat Kansas City in the first game. Now, Kansas City did not have Chris Jones. They did not have Travis Kelce in that game. Nevertheless, I was very impressed. How about the going for it on 4th down in your own territory early in the game, setting the tone, actually getting it? They did just enough to beat Kansas City last week. Lions, I like them a lot. Seahawks, they were the other side. They got blasted pretty good by the Rams. Again, Gino, I'm rooting for you, man. I really want Gino to be what people think he can be or have a season. I don't see it. I think he's just a backup quarterback. I think he's a decent backup quarterback that they paid a lot of money to. I only say that because the second half wasn't that good as well. I think the Lions defense is going to get better. I think it's going to be too much for the Seahawks. I don't think the Seahawks are going to score enough points here. I like the Lions at home against the Seahawks. Possibly the game of the weekend as far as I'm concerned. The Chiefs lost the opening game by the hair of the chin to the Lions. They did go ahead and sign Chris Jones. Apparently that's done. He's got a 1-year extension. He's going to play. We're still waiting on Kelce, who missed the first game. We will see. That was big. Their receiving core without Juju Smith-Schuster, nobody's mentioning that Juju Smith-Schuster is gone and really helped them a lot last year. Kadarius Toney, Scanling, Sky Moore, I don't know. They're going to need Travis Kelce. I'm going to pick them to win if Kelce plays, and I think he will play over the Jags. Jags are really good though. I got really no thing with look. They got Calvin Ridley. I thought that would be good right from the start, and he was. I thought he Trevor Lawrence can throw the deep ball. I don't know how good they are in defense. The defense about looks in the middle. I'd like to see it. I think the Jaguars, that'll be the thing. How good is the defense? I'm still not sure when I look at it if it's good or bad. It's good some weeks, and then it's not as good. And you to play a team as good as Kansas City, I think you need to be good all the time. And again, that was about as bad as I've ever seen Mahomes look in the first game. I mean, he just was shaky all the way through. So again, no practice time to see it here. Oh wow, the Jets. I really don't care anything about New York sports fans in general. I've always hated the Yankees. I really couldn't help. You can't help but to feel bad for the Jets fans. You really couldn't. I just Aaron Rodgers, I think, did everything he could to be in there. They finally get a break. They finally get a good quarterback. They finally turn around things, and this tragic happens. Here's the thing: they did win the football game, by the way. They did actually beat the Bills. I think their defense is for real. I like their defense. I think if there's anything they can hang their hat on, whoever's under center, it's going to be Zach Wilson in this game. But I think I think there is something to that that they did. Bryce Hall was really good too. Bryce, I think Bryce Hall is gonna be outstanding for him. Cowboys look sensational. Period. Cowboys are good. Cowboys have been really good. I think Prescott kind of maligned unnecessarily. This defense can carry him. They're really good. I think they just have to do just enough on offense, and there are pieces there on offense. I think you got Brandon Cooks that came over. CeeDee Lamb is developing. Tony Pollard. The offensive line, I think, is good. The Cowboys look good. I don't think they're going to be. You're not going to win by 40 every week, obviously, but I definitely think they went easy in this one to break the hearts of another New York team. And one more here: Dolphins and the Pats. Oh, everybody loves the Dolphins. Good win last week, I thought, against the Chargers. I'm gonna say this. I'm not as big on the Dolphins as everybody else is. Healthy and whole, I got no problem with the Dolphins. I think Tyreek Hill is a beast of his own kind. He's fantastic. I really he's almost unguardable. I mean, he gets going. I mean, there's almost nothing you can do. There's almost nothing you can do. Tua can find him the ball. He's got a good receiver on the other side, Jalen Waddle. It's got Dalvin Cook there. I think the line needs to come around a bit, but they're fantastic. I'm still just not convinced that this guy is going to play a whole season. I've been saying that all season. Tua is just I gotta believe it to see it that he's going to be healthy the whole season. New England, I think New England has a decent enough shot in this game. I think if there is anybody who can contain a Tyreek Hill, a good receiving core, it's going to be Bill Belichick and his defense. I'm going to shock you. I'm going to take New England here. I think they're going to get it together here. I like them at home here. I don't think, again, I just don't think he's going to be healthy all year. I think he's going to be banged around a bit. I think in the Dolphins, and I think the key to beating them is containing Tyreek Hill, which is going to be very difficult to do. I think they're playing the one team I think that can do that. I'm going to take New England in this game over Miami. I think that's a bit of a surprise, but I think I got a feeling here that the Patriots get together. I thought last week in their game, they weren't that bad. I thought Mac Jones, I will say this too. Mac Jones is steadily improving. Maybe nobody's noticing it, but I think he kind of got benched last year. He's been better since. So shout out to that. All right. So there we go. Big five biggest games on the schedule that are not Raven games. So go ahead and check out all of the games Sunday this year. So also too, if you didn't know, and I think a lot of you didn't know, you can actually get Sunday Ticket on YouTube as well. So you don't even have to have YouTube or DirecTV or whatever. I was excited about that. So you can just get it on YouTube and go ahead and watch the games that way. All right. So I've been talking about this for a while, talking a little bit about sports media. And I think media is really changing right now. ESPN, apparently everybody in social media wants ESPN to go away or not be around anymore or whatever. And I think I really wanted to talk about what's relevant in media, right? So as a kid, I grew up and I lived in Baltimore. I listened to WBAL radio, used to have a sports show. I listened to WNST when I was a little bit older. They went full-time radio. WCBM, those of you don't live in Baltimore don't know these called, but these are like AM radio stations, right? That had sports on it. And that was my thing, obviously. And so I used to listen to these shows. Now, as we go up and we get a little older, well, even before that. Before that, I was a little kid. I used to read newspapers. My mom thought it was the coolest thing that I read newspapers every Sunday. So I think newspapers kind of went out. Then I think sports radio kind of took over. And then I think in those years, like the late 90s from like to about 2012, 2010, like sports radio. And then the internet now is the thing. And also to old media is still there. Television, I think, is still there. So I wanted to talk about sports media. What is the 5 biggest, most impactful shows in sports media? And I mean talk shows, I mean non-games, etc. What is the biggest, which shows are having the biggest impact in sports media? I kind of made this one up as far as a lifetime achievement awards. I was researching this, and this is actually going away soon. Real Sports on HBO. It's been fantastic throughout the years. It's sports, but not quite. If not the best way to put that, I guess, but a lot of sports stories. Sometimes it'll be about a big athlete or a Ricky Henderson or a current athlete, but sometimes it'll be about a high school guy. The story I remember the most, it was about a high school wrestler who had no arms and no legs. Stuff like that. Outstanding stuff. I wouldn't say it's currently in the top 5, but it's worth mentioning because throughout the years, it's been a very good, relevant show throughout the years on HBO. HBO pretty much done away with sports except for that. The boxing is gone and everything like that. So, but it is worth a mention, especially since it is legal. These shows didn't make the top 5, but I think they're in there. Maybe they were at one point if I was doing a list, but they're relevant. I wouldn't say they're in the top 5, but these are top 5. We're talking about TV, radio, and internet. And these are not the games. PTI, pardon the interruption, personal favorite of mine. I love Kornheiser and Wilbon. I think they're a fantastic team to go together. I've always liked them. I think they're great. I think the show is relevant too. Not like it was. I think it's a bit dated only because it's about a half-hour TV show. I think that kind of format is not kind of old, but I think that's really good. Pardon my take. Barstool, I think, is very relevant as well. Not quite there, but I think it's good. It was kind of, to me, the precursor to McAfee as well, as far as the online and Barstool in general. I think that's a pretty good outlet for them. I think it's definitely in this category close. First things first, I think Nick Wright's fabulous. I know a lot of people have different opinions on him. I love Nick Wright. I think Nick Wright is. I don't think he's right all the time. He gets on my nerves with the LeBron stuff, I think the thing that brings this down is Kevin Wiles is horrible. I don't know why. I don't get it. I mean, he's terrible. Broussard's okay enough. I got no real beef with him one way or the other, but I think Wiles is terrible. I think that they have a shot at actually getting top five to get rid of, because I think Kevin Wiles is awful. Get Up, I think is there. Um, I was actually today. It was really relevant because I really went to see Greeny talk about the Jets as well. Not bad. I think it's really the only show of its kind. I think as well, as far as a morning sports TV, a big groundbreaking. I wouldn't say groundbreaking, but it's a bit of its kind. Dan Patrick, I think, is really good. Show. I think he's kind of remained relevant. I think this is probably of the radio shows. This is number two. I think he's done a good job throughout the years. I think he's worked at Sports Center and things like. He has some pretty relevant stuff on there. I think it's really good, and I think Bill Simmons. I think this guy's the go-to podcast. He's a jerk at times. I'm not a Red Sox guy at all. That Boston guy. I think he's got good information. He kind of gets in his own way. I think podcast is the format for him. They try him on TV. That's kind of not his thing. I think podcasting, where you can kind of bloviate and do long form, I think is his thing. And I think it is. I think it has some relevance. Not top 10, but there, worth mentioning. These are the 5 biggest in all sports inside the NBA. It's a post game for the NBA. I think this is as relevant as the games. I think you watch TNT and you want to hear. I want to hear what they say almost as much as the game, or even more so, honestly, than the game I just watched. What Barkley has to say, what Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson have to say. I think Barkley is the most probably authentic sports commentator of all time. Barkley doesn't care. Some people say it's Stephen A. I think the thing that's even more with Barkley is he's not trying to be friends with anybody. He's just going to give it to you like it is. And I love that about Barkley. I think Barkley's fantastic. I think Kenny Smith is good. Ernie Johnson's good. I'm not as big on Shaquille, but I think even kind of fits that. Fits that group. I think he's fantastic. I think this is I think the only probably reason why this is not higher because this is one sport, but they do talk about other topics on there. They'll talk about other relevant topics as well. I think inside the NBA is fantastic. That's 5. 4. I think this is the number 1 radio show, sports show, and it ain't close. The Herd. Let me tell you something. Out of all of these, sports radio nationally is by far the hardest. By far. Anybody who listens to sports radio on a regular basis, and I have a lot of my adult life, even as a teenager, you more want to listen to a local show. You don't want to hear a national show, in my opinion. I think you'd rather, like, I'm a Ravens fan, or I'd rather listen to that than that. So a national show, I always thought, is much, much harder to do and gather an audience. The Herd is fantastic. This guy like knows football. I think his football takes are fantastic. I don't always think he's right, but I think the show is excellent. Enormously prepared. Listen to The Herd. I don't think I've ever listened to it and said, "Man, you learned something you didn't know." Enormously prepared, and I like it. It's good for hardcore sports fans. It's not trying to be funny. It's not trying to do all this other stuff. It's good. I like it. I think but it is not even close to number 2 as far as the sports shows in the country. Number 3, Undisputed. I might have had it even higher, but the new format I'm not as sure about. Not that I dislike it, but relevance. I think it was easy to place higher with Shannon Sharp is there. I think Skip Bayless is the biggest hot take there ever has been. Goofy stuff sometimes. he goes a little too far with the LeBron stuff. I think he's clearly a Jordan guy. And I don't care for any of the Dallas stuff. But I tell you what, people listen to him. That's for sure. I think people have got him wrong. He does not care at all if you like. I don't care. He cares that people watch. He cares that people do watch. I think the new Undisputed is decent enough. I don't know how well they're going to do in the ratings against First Take. I think, though, it was basically created to go against First Take, and they've held their own. I mean, they haven't done better than First Take necessarily, but that's really built their platform, these two shows, FS1, Undisputed, and The Herd. And I think Skip Bayless is a lot of talent. I think he's good at putting together a show. I think it's relevant. People, as far as the internet goes as well, even though it's traditional media, people are always talking about Undisputed as well. It's a little bit lower only because of the new format. Shannon Sharp's gone. So I think that'll be interesting to see that goes. But still in the top 5. Pat McAfee show. I think of all the shows here, this is the one I like personally the least. I don't dislike it. I just don't love it. It seems to be grunt guy football. I'm a little perplexed. I think I mentioned this last week, but I'm a little perplexed about why it's so hot. But he's killing the game. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, he's got 400,000 views every day. I like he's a former player. His enthusiasm, the thing I can understand, his enthusiasm is a 30. Every day. He's got a great staff with him, a great crew with him. You could tell he works really hard at it. This is the king of sports internet right now, McAfee. I don't think they care at all how it does on the main network, honestly. The fact that he can bring all those views to their YouTube page and to the ESPN, that's what they care. I don't think they care one bit what it does. And he is very well liked. I think he's respected. I think it's funny. I don't love it simply because I'm more of a nerd. I'm more meat but potatoes. I think this is a little less meat potatoes McAfee show, but I think it's number 2. I think he's definitely the king of the internet right now, as far as especially YouTube, as far as sports media. Number 1 is no question First Take. First Take, I think, this is the most talked about most relevant sports show right now in the United States. I say that because Stephen A is now with non-sports fans. This is the name you know. I think Barkley would be the other one, but you almost don't count him because he's an athlete. But Stephen A, he's talking about politics. He's talking about other things. He's talking about this is the most relevant show, I think, in all of sports. Stephen A is always talking about the ratings. That's probably right. I think he overstates the ratings. Right? The internet views he's gotten, this show gets, it's unbelievable. It's like nothing else. I'd love to have the exact data in front of me, but it's high. It's fantastic. I think the debate format is really good. Undisputed and First Take seem a little long to me some days, but I think no question about it, First Take is number 1, especially now with Shannon Sharp there, which was really going to get to the relevance. All right, so there you go. Those are the 5 biggest shows in sports media. And so we'll go ahead and talk about that as well. So we wanted to talk about that. What shows are relevant in sports media now, because there's a lot of changes. ESPN was going to talk a bit about Spectrum, ESPN. That has been taken care of, so they did get to watch the Monday night game. Spectrum Communications did go ahead and show ESPN. I'm gonna say this one more time. I don't know why everybody's rooting for ESPN to die, and I don't know why everybody's saying that nobody's their ESPN's numbers with their streaming service was higher than I thought. They got 25 million subscribers a month. That's I don't know why everybody thinks that I mean it may die. I mean Apple may buy it or whatever, but all this doom and gloom that it's going away and that's crazy. I don't see that. They are losing market share because cables are viewing, but we'll see how that goes. Real quick, 38-20, Maryland over Charlotte. Terps kind of look like the Ravens when I watched the game Saturday. They won, but they look bad the first half. Tua, I keep saying Tua. Tua Tagovailoa, his brother's Tua. I thought looked shaky at all points. I think they won. I think they just were more physical, and they were playing a team not as good, and so they were able to win. They're playing this Friday, not Saturday. Friday night FS1. They're going to be playing the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia lost last week to James Madison. So a lot of people around here, Shenandoah Valley, were excited about the James Madison win over Virginia. Maryland hasn't looked great to me so far. They're 2-0, but I'd like to see them look a little better. Tagovailoa has been, again, I think they're fortunate that they were playing these two teams, and this is kind of what you do in September. But we will see how that goes going forward. Let's get to the Orioles report. Your Baltimore Orioles. Like Rex Barney used to say, your Baltimore Orioles. Give that fat a contract. All right, so let's go for a couple things. Not as big a news week, but we're going to talk about that. Felix Bautista, partial UCL tear, may return this season. I'm not sure. They're kind of playing this close to the vest. They keep saying that. They keep saying that. They keep saying that. They keep saying that. But he hasn't really thrown it. So there's not a lot of time yet. I would doubt we'll see him in the regular season. I think they're just going to wait for the playoffs. If it's possible that he can return to the playoffs, they're going to, looks like, possibly win, have the best record in the entire American League. So you may get a bye. You may get even more time and have him. I'm sure they would rather have him because certainly you have designs on the World Series with a record like this. So we will see if Bautista is able to get in there. Kind of playing catch, they were saying, but they're definitely looking to get him in there. Orioles sweep the Angels 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox. They split the first 2 games with the Cardinals. So we're recording this before the game ends on Wednesday. I think the Cardinals, Angels are just phoning it in now. I think they let go all those players in the trade. They may be trying to move Mike Trout. I think the Orioles took advantage of that. Red Sox, I think they may be going in the right direction. Devers is fantastic. They were too much for them. And the Cardinals tonight means it's a victory for him even being out there. I know like professional sports is no moral victory. The fact that he's even on the field pitching, that's fantastic. So I don't know what his future is going to be like, but we will see how that continues to go. And with this series, Orioles are getting there. Flaherty continues to struggle. I thought after his first start, he'd be your number 1 starter for the rest of the way. He's been lousy. I think he's possibly going to be your odd man out of the rotation. I think it's going to be 6. They don't do 6. This is the guy you have to drop because I think he hasn't been nearly as good as they had hoped as well. Certainly a playoff rotation. I think he's definitely going to be your odd man. He's definitely behind Bradish. Been fantastic down the stretch. Kyle Bradish has been fantastic down the stretch, rather. Grayson has been better, not so great this last start. Grayson Rodriguez, and also Kyle Gibson and Dean Kramer. So he's been interesting to see what they do with Flaherty. Flaherty has been struggling here. Means makes his debut, 5 innings, 3 earned runs. It's a start. We'll take it. Means, I think I really feel good for Means even being here in this position. I think it's fantastic. Him and Trey Mancini, when the Orioles were rebuilding, these are the only 2 guys I thought on the roster that were even major league guys. And to see him here doing this is fantastic. Let's see how effective he can be to help us win some games down the stretch. Orioles magic number as of this recording is 15. So to win the entire AL, it's 15. AL East playoffs, it's 3. So to get into the playoffs, the magic number is 3 games. So what's a magic number? So it's a combination of wins and losses. Okay. So to win the AL East, you need a combination of 15 wins or Tampa Bay losses, the second place team. And the playoffs is the same formula. So you need a combination of 3. So if you win 3 more games, or if the team in second place loses 3 more games, magic number, right? That's what's left. Orioles, I think at this point, they're absolutely looking at the number 1 seed. I don't think anything else. I would say, though, Tampa has been on a roll lately, and it's possible that they can get there. But Orioles have been rolling all season long, regardless of their circumstances. I honestly believe, I think they're going to be the number 1 seed. All right. So thank you for joining us this week for the Ravery Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast for fans like me. Like and subscribe to all of our social media channels. So again, Ravens and Bengals on Sunday. We got a bunch of Orioles games here down the stretch. Friday, Maryland, Terps, and Virginia, FS1. So definitely check it out. Thank you very much for joining us. You have a great rest of your day. Enjoy all the games.